This national news edition originates from VK1WIA and is rebroadcast throughout Australia and around the world under a common licence published on the WIA website. This WIA National News Service is copyright to the Wireless Institute of Australia, and rebroadcast is authorised only under the provisions of that common licence. WIA Director and Company Secretary Peter Cleave, VK8ZZ.
From Australia, this is the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
In WIA National News this week, WIA Director Chris Dimitrovich, VK3FY, with the where and why fors of the WIA AGM. WIA's Amateur Radio Magazine's Editor-in-Chief Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH. WIA's National News Service reporter Jason, VK2LAW, and new law protects ham radio antennas and towers. WIA National News Service Operational News reporter Felix, VK4FUQ, and Pirate Hunt 2026. And thanks to the NZART, IARU Region 3 holds a QRP Day each year. And WIA National News reporter Graham, VK3GRK, has more on at least one activity planned. But wait, there's much, much more in this edition of news from the Wireless Institute of Australia, and it's for week commencing Sunday, March 29, 2026, and I'm Editor Graham, VK4BB.
This is your WIA News, the news you can trust.
This is Chris Dimitrievich, VK3FY, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Wireless Institute of Australia for this week's VK1WIA Weekly News. There are only 5 weeks to go until the WIA AGM to be held in Albury by the Albury-Wodonga Amateur Radio Club on the 2nd and 3rd of May this year. Entry is free, but you'll need to register via the website vksummit.au, vksummit.au. Events to be held at the VK Summit 2026 are as follows: the WIA Annual General Meeting, VK Summit Dinner on Saturday night, with keynote speaker to be advised. Presentations currently registered are as follows: remote operation with Flex Radio and 4 Oscar 3 America, the presenter Steve Kennedy, VK6SJ from Contech Radio. His presentation number 1, remote site design and case studies. Presentation number 2, Aurora Transceiver. Amateur Radio Direction Finding, ARDF, Radio Orienteering. Presenter VK3WW, Jack, WIA ARDF representative. Jack will be providing an explanation about ARDF, including various types of competitions, both local and international, equipment, bands used, navigation techniques, etc. Hearing aids in amateur radio, presented by Anthony Plum from AP Hearing. A band plan update. The presenter, Grant Willis, VK3GR, WIA Technical Advisory Committee Chair, will provide an update on the band plan. POTA, Portable Operation. Presenters, Marty, VK4KC, Alan, VK1AO, and Mark, VK4EMP. Marty, Alan, and Mark will be presenting all things POTA. Don't forget to register your attendance on www.vksummit.au. This has been Chris Dimitrievich, VK3FY, on behalf of the WA Board of Directors for VK1 WIA Weekly News.
This is Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH, Editor-in-Chief of Amateur Radio Magazine. The pages of the second issue of Amateur Radio Magazine for 2026 reeled off the press last Wednesday, as scheduled, and were then stitched together between the cover pages printed the week before. AR Magazine is like a burger. You split the bun, then put the meat between the bun halves. The theme for this issue is Foundation Focus, and what better way to open the subject is to feature a do-it-yourself foundation-class transceiver from the ever-busy designer of homebrew projects, Lou DiStefano, VK3AQZ. It's a 2-band HF rig, 80 and 40 metres, that will suit all foundation operators and new hand constructors. This issue we have part 1 in a series, covering the introduction, the overall block diagram and the receiver section. When built, the transceiver will meet the ACMA specifications. Not only is the project a great learning experience, but constructors will also have a practical HF rig at the end. Lou has deliberately designed the rig using components that are generally readily available. Having trouble getting your head around the ACMA's Assist portal? Well, we have a step-by-step guide in words and pictures to achieve success without getting locked out or fruitlessly frustrated. Prepared by Justin Giles Clark, VK7TW, working in conjunction with ACMA staff, this is one article you'll need to keep on hand. For those new to the world of amateur radio and those working toward upgrading your qualification, sitting for the assessment or exam can be an anxious time, so we have an article to help you through. Research has uncovered 4 types of test takers. To get through that exam, you need to be the best test taker that you can. For foundation operators new and experienced, we have a lift-out section of the HF band plans, showing you where you can and can't go and where the centres of activity are for the multitude of modes in use. The 4-page centre section of the issue can be easily extracted, so you can keep it handy when operating and for reference. To top it all off, we have the results of the recent election. Congratulations to the successful candidates. There's much more in our foundation focus issue. More guts, less gab. Serving hams across Australia since 1933. Proudly produced and printed in Australia. I'm Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH, for VK1WIA News.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now with international news, Jason, VK2LAW.
Hello. First up, ARRL hosts successful HAMSci 2026 workshop. The worlds of amateur radio and ionospheric science came together once again on March 14 and 15th at the 9th annual HAMSci workshop. HAMSci 2026 was hosted by ARRL and held at Central Connecticut State University. The Ham Radio Science Citizen Investigation Program encourages radio amateurs to collect data that scientists use in their research on ionospheric phenomena. This year's workshop featured 17 oral presentations, 3 tutorials, 5 demonstrations and 31 posters, and drew researchers from MIT, Virginia Tech, St. Francis University, Dartmouth College, Boston College and others. New laws protects ham radio antennas and towers. Colin Butler, writing in ICQ Podcast, says starting on the 1st of July this year, amateur radio antennas, towers and feed lines cannot be restricted by any homeowners associations in residential communities in Indiana, USA. This new law, signed by Governor Mike Braun, will afford ham such protection on any property they rent, lease or own within the association's purview. This is not a green light for all amateurs, however. According to the measure's language on the Indiana General Assembly website, House Bill number 1152 will only apply to homeowners associations that have formed or create documents containing such restrictions after the 30th of June 2026. Often we bring our many viewers from across the world news originating from the RSGB. Did you know that RSGB membership is open to anyone with an interest in amateur radio, wherever they are in the world, and even if you're already a WIA member? RSGB say they have members in over 50 countries, making up around 10% of our total membership. You can meet some of these international members by following the link on the RSGB webpage, and that link is in the text edition of this week's WIA National News. And the RSGB is an official partner for this year's World Radio Sport Team Championship, also known as WRTC. RSGB representatives will attend the event, which is being held from the 8th to the 13th of July 2026 at Wyboston Lakes in Bedfordshire. They'll meet radio amateurs and spectators from around the world, and the Society has supported the event further by sponsoring one of the 50 competitor tents. RSGB General Manager Steve Thomas, Mike 1 Alpha Charlie Bravo, has served on the WRTC UK Organising Committee for the past 3 years. RSGB President Bob Beebe, Golf Uniform 4 Yankee Oscar X-Ray, will attend WRTC for its duration and conduct various duties throughout the week. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney has announced that the Canadian government is investing $200 million towards Canada's first launch pad. The site is owned by Maritime Launch Services, a Canadian commercial space company founded in 2016 and headquartered in Halifax, Nova Scotia. The funds will be put toward a 10-year lease on the launch pad located at Canso, Nova Scotia, which is expected to finish construction by 2028. Ireland's 10-metre repeater, Echo India Zero India Papa Golf, returns to air. The Irish amateur radio community is celebrating the return of EI0IPG, the nation's sole 10-metre repeater, located in Carndonna County, Donegal. The repeater is back in service following a period of outage due to storm damage. Its return is particularly timely as solar activity rises, offering enhanced transatlantic and continental FM communication. For WIA National News, in Sydney, I'm Jason, VK2LAW.
We are VK1WIA. Now, operational news with VK4FUQ. Felix.
Hello there. Now, contest-wise 2026. Pirate Hunt 2026 is a wireless contest organised by Finnish radio club Radioactives of Middle Finland. We've all heard of Easter egg hunts. Well, what about Pirate Hunt? Pirate Hunt is coming. In fact, April 3rd, April 6th. Their publicity blurb read the rules is as follows. We try to keep the rules simple. This contest is just for fun. No need to argue. SDRs include remote receivers, Kiwi, etc. All are allowed, and all bands are accepted, but only stations without a license are counted. ID has to be heard or identification should be confirmed, otherwise. QSL or recording is not necessary. Results are due during or after the contest until May 21st, but not before the contest starts. Arguing about contest rules will automatically result in a disqualification. Pirate Hunt 2026 is organised by Radioactives of Middle Finland. This weekend, March 28-29, Africa All Mode International DX Contest. CW Phone Digital. The objective of this All Mode contest is to stimulate contesting from Africa. All participating stations worldwide may work any country during the contest period. African DXCC entities are defined as those valid per the ARRL DXCC AF listing, published at the time of the contest. March 28-29, CQWW WPX Contest SSB. This WPX contest is based on an award offered by CQ magazine for working all prefixes. Held on the last weekend of March for SSB and May the CW. The contest draws thousands of entries from around the world. May, Harry Angel Memorial Sprint, May 2nd. June 6 and 7, VK Shires Contest. June 2021, VHF UHF Field Day. Now let's open the DX window to the world. If you're one of the lucky ones to contact 310K on Booby Island, Ralph, KK6, ITB, Newsline tells us more.
A report on their Facebook page stated, quote, "The whole 3Y0K team is safely back on the vessel after a successful expedition to Bouvet. We made more than 100,000 contacts and achieved our goals. It was an extraordinary undertaking, involving years of planning, complex logistics, and determination needed to succeed. The team worked well together under harsh conditions, cold, snow, and severe wind. Bouvet is known for its remoteness and unpredictable weather, and while it is a beautiful island, any attempt going on shore involves a risk. Despite all the challenges we encountered, the team stayed focused on our goals, determined, and the result is due to real teamwork. We had been working with professional expedition guides, pilots, crew, and vessel, along with our off-island support team who all contributed to our success." End quote. According to the team, logs will soon be available in OQRS. This is Ralph Squillaci, KK6ITB.
If you wish to check you made a valid contact, but want to verify, you can search the logs at the link in the text edition of this week's newscast at aonewsline.org. The group's next target is, according to them, another icy rock in the Antarctic Ocean, Peter the First Island, in 2027. Celebrating a half-century of German research in Antarctica, special call signs DA0ANT, DM50ANT, and DP50ANT will be active from February 15 to 30 April. In addition, active April 1 to 30 will be DM50GFS for the 50th anniversary of the Jorg Forces Station, established by the GDR in 1976 and decommissioned in 1993, as well as DP200GBN for the bicentenary of the birth of Georg von Neumayer, after whom 3 German Antarctic research stations have been named. For WIA National News, I'm Felix, VK4FUQ Inningham.
Connecting Australian radio amateurs, the Wireless Institute of Australia and the weekly news service continues. We are VK1WIA.
Rewind, a tribute to the father of FM radio. A unique tribute to one of radio's greatest inventors is making waves in the Irish ham community this week. Giorgio Bardelli, call sign EI8IHB, has announced the creation of a sonic archive dedicated to Major Edward Howard Armstrong, the father of FM radio. The centrepiece of the project is a track entitled Edward's Requiem, River House. More than just a song, this piece is a lyrical history of the radio wars, meticulously documenting Armstrong's life and his technical battles. Listeners will find specific reference to the 1935 IRE demonstration and the 1945 FCC frequency shift. This move to the 88 to 108 MHz band infamously rendered the Major's original equipment, operating around 40 to 50, obsolete.
From here, there and everywhere, you tune to the Wireless Institute of Australia's national news service. We are VK1WIA. Now, special interest group news.
Hi, I'm Graham, VK3GRK from Bendigo. Worldwide special interest groups, astronomy and wireless weather. As NASA seeks to understand the mysteries of the universe, the agency is advancing technologies to locate and explore Earth-like planets far beyond our solar system. A key element of this research involves observing reflected light from exoplanets, which can reveal indicators of Earth-like features such as water and oxygen. However, detecting this faint reflected light with current telescope technology remains a significant challenge due to the overwhelming brightness of nearby stars and other celestial objects. NASA's Hybrid Observatory for Earth-like Exoplanets concept presents a potential solution by combining an orbiting starshade with a large ground-based telescope to suppress starlight and enable direct imaging of exoplanets. Worldwide special interest groups, Final Frontier. Fuji Oscar 29, the Japanese amateur radio satellite launched in August 1996, has entered a period of full sunlight, resulting in renewed and more frequent transponder activity. Although the Foxtrot Oscar 29 linear transponder is technically capable of passing narrowband digital signals such as FT8, FT4, PSK31 or Olivia, such operations are not permitted under the satellite's original licensing from Japanese authorities. The transponder is explicitly licensed for SSB and CW modes only. SpaceX plan for 1 million centres poses dangerous risk. A SpaceX plan for 1 million orbital data centres proposes a massive constellation of sunlit objects that could severely impair ground-based astronomy and increase atmospheric pollution through frequent re-entries in the upper atmosphere. Astronomers warn that these 100-metre-long structures will remain illuminated even at midnight. This constant visibility threatens observations at ground-based observatories, such as the Vera Rubin Observatory and the extremely large telescope currently under construction in Chile. These orbital data centres, potentially 100 metres long, create persistent light streaks that obstruct astronomical research. Positioned in high inclination orbits at 500 to 2,000 kilometres, they remain illuminated by sunlight even at midnight, significantly outshining traditional broadband satellites. Astronomers have filed formal objections with the FCC regarding the January 30 application. This new constellation poses a challenge unlike any encountered in the commercial space era, undermining years of progress. Worldwide special interest groups IOTA, Islands on the Air. There is a new challenge to give more hams the chance to work Echo Uniform 024, Sardinia Island. For 10 years, the Sardinian regional radio group, Team DX Koros, has focused on growing the community of amateur radio DXs. As its members mark the group's 10th anniversary, they have teamed up with the Porto Torres section of ARI, the national non-profit organisation representing hams in Italy, to help land Sardinia in as many logbooks as possible. The Sardinia Island DXCC 225 challenge began earlier this month, offering gold, silver and bronze certificates and a chance for some operators to record a new log entry. Their focus until the 1st of May is to call CQ as India Romeo 0 Sierra Alpha Romeo. Echo Uniform 024 Sardinia Island is recognised as an independent DX entity and a much sought after one. See the QRZ.com page of India Romeo 0 Sierra Alpha Romeo for more details. Operators with the Charlie Yankee 0 Sierra DXpedition are on the air from Sable Island, IOTA number November Alpha 063, from the 19th through to the 31st of March. There are 8 operators and as many as 6 stations on 160 to 10 metres using CW, SSB, FT8 and RTTY. There will also be a 6 metre operation on FT8 and EME on 23 centimetres. Listen for Brian, Charlie 6 Alpha Foxtrot Delta, from Eleuthera Island, IOTA number November Alpha 001 in the Bahamas. He'll be on the air through to the 31st of March. You can also find him in the CQ WWWPX SSB contest this weekend, the 28th and 29th of March. Worldwide special interest groups, Ladies on the Air. YL Worldwide Event, Overwhelming. The YL Worldwide Award, the first international amateur radio event dedicated exclusively to female operators, just concluded on March 16th. YLs, which is short for Young Ladies, actually describes female amateur radio operators of all ages. Across the world, YLs joined together for a single operating event called YL Worldwide Award from March 9th through March 16th. YL WWA saw 300 activators from 51 countries generate over 300,000 QSOs in 1 week, chased by approximately 50,000 hunters from 203 countries. At the close of the event, at midnight UTC, March 16th, even though conditions were very difficult, there were more YLs on the air than at any time during the week. Worldwide special interest groups, Maritime. Maritime Radio Day 2026. Registration is now open for Maritime Radio Day 2026, which takes place on April 14th and 15th. The event commemorates the almost 100 years history of the wireless telegraphy service and the closure of the famous Portishead radio station. The event runs from 1200 UTC on the 14th until 1000 UTC on the 15th. Activity will be in CW across all HF bands, including the WARC bands. All who submit a results summary will receive a certificate. For further information, email mrd@radioofficers.com or visit the Radio Officers Association website. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, QRP. 2026 Auckland QRP Weekend. Each year, IARU's Region 3 holds a QRP Day on June 17th UTC. This day was an NZART initiative. To celebrate the day in 2026 and to promote QRP operations, there'll be an Auckland QRP weekend on June 20th and 21st. The event is open to all radio amateurs and is not a contest. It is an opportunity to have fun with QRP operations. The 2 days of the event have markedly different formats. The aim for Saturday is to score points. The aim for Sunday is to achieve goals such as having QSOs on 3 bands, activating outdoor features, or having SSB QSOs with stations in 4 different Maidenhead fields. The event runs 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time both days. All bands from 630 metres to 3 centimetres, including the WARC bands, can be used. The permitted modes are CW, digital, EME, satellite and voice. This has been Graham, VK3GRK in Bendigo.
It's a date, and clubs are welcome to email text with audio for this section, as Laurie, VK4BLE, has done again this week for VK4's Redfest at Deception Bay North State School, 9 a.m, April 11.
This is Laurie, VK4BLE from the Redcliffe and Districts Radio Club with another Redfest 26 update. Just a reminder, if you are still wishing to be a part of Redfest 26 and want to book a table or two, go to the website redfest.org. That is redfest.org. Digital communications? What is the new technology, you ask? Then come to the presentation by Peter from FreeDV. What about digital nodes? Well, Glenn, VK4NGA, will be giving a great presentation on how to use them. So heaps going on at Redfest 26. So go to the website redfest.org for more information. Remember, our major prize this year is the ICOM 7300 Mark II transceiver and all the other great prizes on offer. So don't forget to grab your tickets. QSL Comms and Elite Communications will be at Redfest. Mad Dog Coils, VK Direct, Radio and More, and Garage Art will also be there. And not to forget ICOM Australia, Alara, and the WIA QSL Bureau. So remember to come and collect your QSL cards. There is plenty to enjoy at Redfest, especially for your wife or partner. Pick up a gift for Mother's Day, as there are plenty of tables with goodies for the ladies. Saturday the 11th of April at the Deception Bay North State School, doors open at 9 a.m. See you all at Redfest.
For all of VK, as Chris reported on at the top of the news, WIA AGM May 2 at 2 p.m, but again it's just somewhere in Albury VK2, and it couples with the VK Summit 2026, also somewhere in Albury, May 2 and 3. Somewhere in the States, in fact at Xena, is Dayton Hamvention, May 15 to 17. The Picton Hamfest, May 31 at the Showground, 8 a.m. Oxley Region Amateur Radio Club's Field Day, 6 and 7 of June, Warhope Showground Hall. For VK5, the Southeast Radio Group's Convention and the Australian Fox Hunting Championship, Mount Gambier, June 6 and 7 also. And just down the road from Zeppelin headquarters in Germany, June 26 and 28, it's Ham Radio, the International Amateur Radio Exhibition, Friedrichshafen. VK3 Gippsland Gate Radio and Electronics Club Hamfest Sale, Longwarry Community Hall at 10 a.m. That's a new one on the calendar, Gippsland Gate Radio and Electronics Club Hamfest Sale. And again, that's 10 a.m. and the date, July 4. You won't forget that one. And also in VK3, Bendigo Amateur Radio and Electronics Club Radio Fest, Sunday, October 11 at Bendigo East Hall, Lancel Street. The Tassie Ham Econ Radio Conference happens November 7 and 8 at UTAS Sandy Bay. And in VK5, Adelaide Amateur Radio and Electronics Car Boot Sale, Dogs SA Showground, Cromwell Road, Kilbourne, 10 a.m, November 21. Now, if you'd like to submit any news items for possible inclusion in these WIA national news broadcasts, please email your item, text and audio, to nationalnews@wia.org.au, and don't just send URLs, links, or, hey, this is a great story, posters, etc., but take the time to pen and voice your contribution. But we would appreciate items certainly no longer than, say, 1.5 minutes, as we only have a half hour. Remember, the sooner you submit your material, the more the likelihood of it being broadcast in the very next edition of this, the WIA National News Service. Now, until next we meet, I am Graham, I am VK4BB. Walk softly.
From Australia, this has been the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
Courtesy of Bevan, VK5 BD's ATV and YouTube channel, this has been WIA National News. We're back now, live and local, and your voice, your callbacks. And don't forget, tick like.